what do I really want? And we're going to help you answer that question today, because productivity for what? Like, what are we being productive toward?
So I've tried everything, right? That's like a blanket statement, but like, do you actually know what you've tried? That's a broad statement because you have an excuse, because you just feel like it's not in my control anymore. But it is in your control, in my opinion. And that's what we have to help people understand is it is in your control. You haven't tried everything, and we're here to help uncover what that actually is and what that means.
So advice for all the wives out there, ask your husband, who are you really? What do you really want? And same thing, husbands. And then spend the rest of your waking lives trying to serve that need for each other, not trying to change each other. And what, because I want you to want this, you need to now have this and do this with a smile on your face. It's not how it works. Okay, so here's the truth. No one really knows what's best for you. I don't. Trisha doesn't. We don't pretend like we know what's best for you. The best mentors don't tell you exactly what to do. They propose questions to you, and they let you make your own judgment based on what you want in your life, what your goals are, okay? And so I need you guys to really listen closely to the question that I'm about to ask you. What do you want? What do you want? Raise your hand if you're somebody who has been asked the question, what do you want? And you've got a list. You can show me. You got a notebook of all the things that you want, all the goals that you want to achieve, all the outcomes that you want in your life. And you know that nobody can tell you how to be productive because nobody has that same exact list as you. And there is a specific pathway, and probably multiple specific pathways for you to get from where you're at to where you want to be. I know I've been the recipient of information when I looked up to somebody and I'm like, hey, how'd you go build the business? Or how'd you, make it, in my world, make it to the big leagues in baseball? How'd you do that? And the advice they give me is completely irrelevant to me. It's completely irrelevant because I'm not that person. And so how do we get there? We're going to talk about that. How do we get into this place in which we are living other people's lives out because we never stop to actually answer the question, what do I want? I want you to write that at the top of a piece of paper right now. Everybody do that. What do I really want? And we're going to help you answer that question today, because productivity for what? Like, what are we being productive toward? You can easily mistake movement for progress. In business, we do this all the time, even when we don't try to. We mistake movement for progress. We have a lot of activity, a lot of things that we think we should be doing, but in reality, it's 1, 2, or 3 things that are most efficient. They can be the 20% Pareto principle, 20% of activity that gets 80% of the results. Trisha, you've heard of the Pareto principle in life before, right? And how that's applied to like different scenarios.
It sounds familiar, but can you remind me?
Chelsea, you can chat GPT the definition of Pareto principle, but it's the following. It basically says that it's a universal principle across life that says 20% of the activity will get you 80% of the results. So if you were doing 10 things and you were getting X amount of results for doing those 10 things, it actually says that only 20% of those things are actually getting you 80% of that result that you've gotten. Let's show this graphic, and it shows a little image here to put it into perspective for you. So 20% of your effort gets 80% of your results, but also 80% of your effort, 20% of your results. You see this?
Mm-hmm.
How it's inversed? So it's the Pareto principle. Google who Pareto was for everybody at home. I could use a little refresher on who this gentleman was as well. But we see this all the time in life. We try strategy. Okay, we're talking about productivity today. So most of you are here because of health and fitness and wellness. Great. So let's stay kind of down that lane. Productivity on your health and your wellness journey, okay? What does that mean? Well, we have to start with the common scenario that you and I get in focus meetings, which is the quote unquote, I've tried everything scenario. Mm-hmm. You've sat down in focus meetings, Trisha, and you've heard people talk about, I've tried everything. Maybe talk to me about how that meeting might go, and I'll use that as a jumping off point for
well, I mean,
point.
people come to us because obviously they want help, but then they don't really know that they know they need help, but they don't know obviously the solution. So I think even if they think about what do I want, my husband's really good at doing this with me. If he'll ask me what I want and I'll respond, and then he'll say, but what do you really want? So you have to really understand the actual meaning behind it. So I've tried everything, right? That's like a blanket statement, but like, do you actually know what you've tried? Like if you tried everything, that list could go on forever and ever and ever. So that's a broad statement because you have an excuse because you just feel like it's not in my control anymore. But it is in your control, in my opinion. And that's what we have to help people understand is it is in your control. You haven't tried everything, and we're here to help uncover what that actually is and what that means.
Some people think that they need to blow up their whole world. They need a new system. They need a new infrastructure. They need a whole new idea. And it's never usually that. It's like I said, it's usually one or two tweaks that are going to really move the needle for you. And that's what the Pareto principle is really saying. And so answer this question. What do you want? Not what your parents want. Not what your peers want. Certainly not what your professor wants. Certainly not what Auntie Grace wants, who has never really been in your shoes before. All of this direction from the people in your life that are loving you and trying to help you move forward, all of this direction is merely just a suggestion. And so often, we will take this on as the Bible, as the word, and we will move forward and we will actually use somebody else's goals as the goals for our own life. And then we wonder why we're miserable. Mm-hmm. We wonder why we pull up when we're 40 and we're like, who the hell have I been for the last 15 years?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you who you've been right now. You've been your mom's version of who you were meant to be. And I've seen this so many times that I've realized, I've made an observation. Do you want to hear my observation?
I do.
It's much harder to be great if you come from a good family. Mm-hmm. It is much harder to be great when you come from a good family. Okay? Because it's so hard to sort out mom and dad's principles. What works, they're great people, right? They're good people. They mean well, they really want you to, but they're fundamentally flawed as human beings still, like we all are. But to the degree in which you just take mom and dad's advice without ever being curious about it, and maybe that's okay when you're 12. Maybe that's the best advice when you're 15. I don't know, for some of you. Maybe it's even the best advice when you're 27. But if you're 40 years old and you're still living the life that your parents wanted for you, which I know is about 80% of you listening to this right now, I'm here to tell you, this is the podcast, this is the moment in time where I want you to make that decision to break out. And it's with one question and one question only. What do you want? I've got a list on my phone. It says goals. And it said goals at the top of my list for, I don't know, 8 years. And that list started off as what I thought other people wanted me to achieve. And if you look at it now, I actually can read some of the things for you. It used to have material things on it. What I thought an entrepreneur should want. Mm-hmm. A car, a house, the things, the status, the achievements. I used to think because I was not answering the question, what do I want? I was answering the question, really, if I'm being honest with myself, I was asking myself, what do franchise partners want? Because those are the people who I show up to serve every day. But if I serve only through the lens of what they want, then I'm completely neglecting myself. I will be disassociated from who I actually am, from who I'm meant to be. And can I be the best leader if I'm not in alignment, keyword, if I'm not in alignment mentally, physically, and emotionally? Trish, have you ever, in the last 3 months, can you find times, I know we all can, but I'm wondering if a story comes to your mind in which you were not mentally aligned. You're not congruent mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, or a time in your life that you're willing to share to help people actualize maybe what we mean here. And if you can't, I definitely have a few things that come to mind, but I know you've had so many ups and downs. We've had so many ups and downs. that, I want to give you an opportunity to share a story.
I mean, rephrase the question because I want to make sure I get this right because I have like 14 different examples that popped into my head.
When you're leading the life other people want you to lead and you end up being miserable because you think but you're actually doing the thing that the other person wanted you to do. You're fulfilling them like mom or dad or professor or whoever says, go out and do this. And you go out and do that and you bring them back the game ball and they're happy, but you're not. They're the ones that are proud and good job. You did my version of what I wanted you to do, but then someone's clapping for you, but over here you feel like, why? I don't feel like I should have applause right now because it's not what I wanted. Anything come out?
I mean, so I think I struggle with this often because I am someone who I do struggle with like, what do I want? How not to not people please everyone else. It's a big a big opportunity for me. I've gotten better, but it's definitely not perfect. So I think recently I've actually struggled with this almost in every aspect of my life. I'm chasing other things based off of what I think other people want instead of taking a step back and realizing I need to figure out what I want and then make sure I know and I'm more organized in how I show up because if I spin out really fast and then things get really cloudy and then you lose track of, am I planning my meal prep? How am I showing up for my kids? Am I showing up at work the way that I want to show up? So if you're not doing things for what you want, it's really easy to spin out. And I know that that's not like an example that is giving you an actual story, but it is important that maybe other people feel like they're not alone because I am constantly living in this world. And there's so many times when I finally feel like I can see straight and I'm like, I want to live in this space. And when I think about when I feel really congruent with my life, it's because I'm doing what I want because then I can organize my life in that manner. And I'm more confident in my approach.
Mentally.
Does that make sense?
100%, right? The more confident we are in our approach, likely the more that approach was our approach and not somebody else's approach. You don't feel necessarily always confident executing on what someone else wants you to be. There's almost like this endless level of fulfilling the needs of somebody else, and it's never going to be good enough no matter what. I don't know if you ever had parents like that, but my father, who passed far too young in his 50s, he was this person who constantly wanted to compete with me. It wasn't a healthy competition. It wasn't, hey, son, I want you to be the best in the house at let's just use a sport, for example, because that was a lot of what it was. Basketball growing up. I was a great basketball player, all-state third team. And I was a better baseball player, but I love basketball way more. I just didn't have as a big of a future, but I was pretty good at it. Like I had broken records at my high school and, like locally was like a renowned basketball player. And, my dad, although I could throw a baseball 92, 93 miles an hour, he was a McDonald's All-American basketball player. He had a full ride to Xavier College. Ended up, because of drugs and alcohol, not getting accepted into Xavier and went to play at Lake Superior State, which is a D2 school in Michigan. But he was a McDonald's All-American. He was actually an honorable mention on McDonald's All-American. But that's like the top 15 players in the country. And so this relationship my dad had with basketball was one he was very deeply hurt about, that he was a McDonald's All-American and he saw the other 14 players that were McDonald's All-Americans on that same roster, 9 of which were in the NBA, or some arbitrary number. If you fact check that, it might be different. But there's like a majority of them that went to the NBA or to play at a high level of college basketball, and my dad is flunked out. And he would never admit this because he was a man of pride, but he was a loser. He was more committed to drugs and alcohol than he was in partying than he was to the craft of basketball. So then when he has me, he now takes his void in his heart for this sport and he tries to fill that void by helping me go out and do what he never could do, which was go be a McDonald's All-American and then go play Division I college basketball and then go on to the NBA. And I'm 6'1". I'm a white dude, can't jump that high. Probably weren't going to go to the NBA in the beginning. But his plan for me was to go fill all the voids that he left. But he didn't know that. He wasn't cerebral or connected enough to know that. He wasn't awake enough in his day-to-day life outside of the inebriation to be able to make those connections. I'm only making those connections looking back on my childhood, like many of you should be doing. If you haven't taken the time to reflect back and say, why am I the way I am? Well, it's likely because of my parents were the way they were. Well, why were they the way they were? And is that right? Right? Was that the right way for me to look back now that I'm an adult and I have a mature prefrontal cortex and I'm able to use my brain to executive override my emotional functions in my amygdala? I know now how to look back and use my memory for what it's for, which is to rewind the tape and say, what does these meaningful circumstances or events in my life mean? And so my dad would put me out in the backyard, make me shovel snow in the driveway. I mean, I'm talking like 12, 13, 14 years old. Make me shovel all the snow out of the driveway, heavy ice, heavy snow. I'd be exhausted after 2 hours. Make me play for 2 hours against him. Grown man, still really good, by the way. He was always very good. He would get drunk and we'd go out in the yard and he would beat the absolute shit out of me. Like, you're never going to make it. Boom! Shoulder into the fence. A little 14-year-old kid through the wood fence. Get up, you bleep, 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 bleep. Get up. How are you ever going to make it if you're that soft? Get up. I'm going to teach you to be tough. Which I wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because a lot of that getting my ass kicked in the backyard made me one tough SOB. But this need that he had, unconscious need for me to fulfill his destiny, made him compete with me. I was his competition. And so if I don't question, like in a toxic way, competition, like I need to belittle you. You're just a little guy. You're a little beep. Know your role. Stay in your place. I'm the man. This was my father. And so if I don't question the way that I was brought up, I don't question this behavior, I might look at that and say, hey, that's what made me me. I'm going to do that to my kids. No, that's not what made me me. There's discernment. There's things I would pick out of that. Like, I can make you tough without putting a gash in the back of your head. Okay, yeah, I'm going to rough my sons around a little bit. I'm going to make them tough, but I'm not going to take it past the point where I hurt them. It was about 25 or 26 years old when I started looking back and realizing, man, that's not the way to do it. I am at this time living by the belief systems of my father and my mother, which were mostly terrible. And it's way easier to recognize something that's bad than to recognize something that's good. It's very easy to say, hey, murder's bad. Okay? It's very easy to say rape is bad. It's very easy to say, killing somebody, you should be in prison for that, for life. But it's much harder to say what is good. You could say things like helping others. But you could say things like giving the shirt off your back, putting somebody else's needs before your own. These all can be good, but isn't it way more definitive? So it's way more definitive what bad looks like than what good looks like. And so that is why it's much harder for you as an individual who had good parents, who maybe had some flaws. The hard part is discerning between the good core values and the poor core values. And most of us never did that work. We just assumed that our parents were there the whole time and they're God's gift to earth, the Holy Grail, and we should listen and bow down to all the things that we said because they're our parents, when I don't live like that. And I don't think you should either, because it's very easy to end up being 40 years old and living by a philosophy that's flawed. So it's much easier to not have a philosophy in the first place, be a clean slate, in my opinion at least, and then be able to form your own philosophies.
It's interesting, as I was listening to your story, like I think a lot of the things I do are subconsciously in response to my biological father, potentially. I've shared the story before, but he, was in and out of my life. My parents were divorced when I was 2. And when I was 16, he just completely left. And a lot of that left me feeling like, and this is why I think I'm a people pleaser and a lot of emotional triggers, but I think a lot of what I do it subconsciously because I always had this like little girl in the back of my head saying like, don't mess up. Like, otherwise people are going to leave your life. They're like, if you do that wrong, they're gone. Is that true too? Because I think yours was
Let me ask you a question, because that's a great observation. So how does that serve you now? Like, you used to think that way. It seems like you don't think that way anymore, but it probably comes up now and then because it's a part of how you were raised and you have to constantly fight it. I mean, think about like, if I don't do things the way this person want me to do, they're going to leave. This is part of that questioning process. Like, is that true?
Yeah.
And if it is true, is that bad? I don't know. Those are questions this is kind of what I'm asking our audience to ask themselves. Like, question, be curious about it.
And I think going back to what do I want is a really good reminder of, is that what I want? Or is it because I'm scared that if I say no, that person's going to leave and they're not going to like me anymore? So it's something I'm still 100% working through. And as I get older and I have more responsibility, and with my kids, with my job, with my family, it brought up a lot more and more. So that's where I know, going back to productivity, I'm best when I can see clearly and I know why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. But it can spiral real fast when things get crazy. And I mean, I'm coming out of holidays. My son has a birth. There is just so much stuff. I'm feeling like I'm underground right now. I'm like, where am I? Is this what I want to do? How am I doing this? Why am I doing this? So this is a timely conversation for me.
Yeah, we can clear the clutter. We have the ability to, let's just go through an exercise real quick, because this is something that I do all the time. So every Sunday night, as you know, Trisha, about me, and for those of you who are new to the podcast, welcome. If you're not into all this productivity stuff, by the way, and all this mental, emotional congruency stuff, you can, by the way, just stop listening right now and go back to last week's episode 40, Melt Fat with These Simple Tips. We featured a video, Rescue Me, so it's a really popular podcast right now. Everybody's going there to watch our quarterly campaign video, as well as learn some fat melting tips. Mm-hmm. From us last week. So that's more of a health and fitness episode. This one, we wanted to talk about productivity, and we wanted to set the stage and say, hey, let's not just jump right into productivity. Let's first jump into outcome, because it doesn't matter. Like, what are you being productive toward? That's kind of what we're talking about still right now, is we need to appropriate the right outcomes for us, not for somebody else, because productivity is synonymous with activity behind your outcome. It's the leading activity that gets you to that end game, right? Eat the calories, you do the workouts, you step on the scale, and you're going to see the results. So we don't want to step on the scale and expect results and then not see them. Therefore, we need to make sure that the productivity or the activity is alignment with the outcome. So my final question on outcome for you is, what is yours? What is your 3? So I'm going to go into this exercise, and this is going to help us all. Okay, we'll kind of round out the first part of this podcast. Okay, I'm going to sit down on a Sunday night, and I'm going to start to prioritize what's important for my week. Number 1, the first thing that I do is I spend 30 minutes every Sunday. It's usually in the morning, first thing when I get up. I like to do it when I'm fresh-minded. And I put down all the stuff I didn't accomplish from last week, all the things in my mind that are just floating around, and it's just a list. I mean, and it goes for maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages. Here's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages in my notebook from 2 weeks ago, which was a really good, I had a chance to do it while I was on vacation. Okay. And then I'll brainstorm. I'll literally write everything I need to get done, or we as an organization need to get done. I write it down. I give myself 30 minutes. Don't just give yourself 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20. You're going to only write for 10 minutes because we have like this front of mind, but you have to sit in silence. It's key. Let the next 20 minutes settle. You'll probably go 10 minutes writing like a banshee, 10 minutes sitting there in silence, feeling like you're stupid and you don't have anything else left in your hollow, numb brain. And then you're going to bypass that for the last 10 minutes, and then you're going to start hitting idea after idea after idea. That's how it works for me, or bringing up all those things that are deep in our consciousness. And then I sit down with each one, and I ascribe a letter and a number. The letter is importance. A means that only I can do it and I have to do it. That's like 10% of things. B means it's really important to do, but I don't have to do it. It's not done. It has to be done, but doesn't have to be done by me. And number 3, which ends up being like 50% of the list, in this little subtlety right here is why like 95% of you get overwhelmed, is you forget to delete the crap. C means crap. That's why would I take a meeting with the PepsiCo distributor when we're Burn Boot Camp when we're never going to put PepsiCo products into our gyms? Just as a silly example of things I used to take on that I no longer take on because of this process. So A is I have to do and I must do. B is we must do and someone else can do. And C is crap. You need to get rid of it right now because that's the reason you're overwhelmed. You don't even know it. You're just doing a bunch of stuff that you think sounds good, and it does sound good. It's enticing, but it's Pareto principle. Is this one of the 20% of things that's going to move the needle 80% for me? And the answer is probably no. And this is why we spend our entire lives sometimes mistaking movement for progress, why we work hard, but then we don't see the results, which means then you could extrapolate that hard work is not such a virtue. Sit on that for a minute. Because we've been taught hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work. So 99% of you think that productivity is just working harder. It's not true. 99% of productivity is knowing the outcome. 1% is making that list and organizing yourself. Because if you're organizing yourself against an unoptimized outcome, what the hell are we doing?
So have you ever struggled with, because it's obviously a subjective list based off of your opinions on what you think is priority, and you as like the top of the company, like obviously that matters. I think for someone like me, where I run into, and I would love your opinion, is like I sometimes will deem a different letter, but then it's actually, and then it spins me out.
How many times have you done it like this style? And let me finish the last part of it. And then I'll subscribe a 1 year, a 3 year, or a 10 year to it. This needs to be done this year. I'm not giving myself these arbitrary dates.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we put deadlines to things. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to sit down in a brainstorm and say, oh, this thing that I have no idea it needs to be done next week.
Yeah.
Because then I'm going to spin people like Trisha out. I'm going to say, hey, this is short term, this is midterm, this is long term. This needs to be done pretty much ASAP, right? Whatever that means to you guys. This needs to be done in the next 1 to 3 years. This is a 10-year thing. And so I'll literally go A, B, C on the left side, and then 1, 3, or 10 on the other side. And then I start to organize. Only take for my own personal to-do list, outcome list for next week. I'm taking my 1 years and my A's, and that's the only thing that shows up on my list. Then the first thing as one of my A bucket items is to delegate all of the B items that are also 1 year. Get all the 1 year lists off. And then I move my 3 year into a vault, and I don't bother people with it. And then my 10 year, as I share that with like the visionary people around me. Mm-hmm. And I got some real specific outcome in my internal notebook, but I'm only sharing like a piece of that with people outwardly.
And then with Morgan, something of my husband and I, because this is where it comes up a lot, is like, I think it might be a priority. And he's like, I don't need to hang that picture up today. I'm going to do that in a month.
I love you, Julian. This is great, everyone. Can I say something to all the wives out there? Can I say something to the wives? There are two types of your man should be productive, okay? Ladies, your man should be productive. You know, I'm kind of more traditional than probably most people are. I really believe that the man has a responsibility to be productive, and if the female part of the relationship also wants to be productive and also is a go-getter and is ambitious, then by all means, we're now an ambitious family. Okay? But that's the way that I look at it. No matter what, dudes, you got to be out there doing your thing, okay? No matter what. And if you want to flip roles and you want to be stay-at-home dad and go-getter mom, I'm all good with these types of setups too. This is all this is, again, not living out somebody else's vision of what you want to do. But here's why I love this comment, and where Julian and I really are. This is why we're homies. Okay, I am super productive, but the things that I don't want to do, that I don't intrinsically like doing, I don't like other people, even if it's my wife, telling me to do stuff that I intrinsically don't like doing. When I'm so productive in the things that I like doing, I don't want to hang up stuff. I don't want to change the smoke detector. I don't want to mow the grass. And I used to have to do all those things. Those were my chores growing up. Mm-hmm. And I remember telling myself when I was 12 years old, I'm going to be successful so that I can pay another 12-year-old to mow my grass. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to do it. I have to do it myself. There's nothing wrong with mowing your grass. You want to mow your grass? Mow your grass. Don't want to mow my grass. Mm-hmm. Don't want to hang up pictures. I'm not good at it. The picture's going to fall down anyway. The toilet, go to my house and look at the toilet paper dispensers in all the bathrooms. Guess what's common? I hung them all up. Guess what's also common? They're all falling off the wall simultaneously right now. That's happening.
That's awesome.
I hoped Morg would learn after I failed 0 for 5 on the toilet paper dispensers that, dude, DK's just not that guy for your household maintenance chores. But part of her blueprint is that still, if I'm a hardworking, good husband, that I'm going to do these things. And so this is the one, we don't fight a lot, but this is the one thing at home we fight about. And so I'm going to take Julian's side on this because has this life in this world where he's so productive and he's constantly thinking in the back of his mind how to be more productive. And if I got to worry about what type of battery the smoke detectors in the house need and how to go to Lowe's to get a ladder for the 15-foot ceilings, you're going to lose interest. You're going to lose my interest real quick in those types of things. And you're not going to get the best out of me because that's not who I am. So advice for all the wives out there, ask your husband, who are you really? What do you really want? Mm-hmm. And same thing, husbands. This isn't a one-way street. Ask your wives the same thing. What do you really want? And then spend the rest of your waking lives trying to serve that need for each other, not trying to change each other. And because I want you to want this, you need to now have this and do this with a smile on your face. No. That's not how it works.
Trish, I feel like you would know this.
Okay, Trisha, I'm done. I'm off my soapbox.
No, I love that.
Okay.
Trish, I feel like you would know this. When this got brought up, it reminds me of those TikToks where it's you ask your husband to do something, but he doesn't do it quick enough. So then you just take the ladder and do it yourself, and it causes more anxiety for the husband.
Oh, yeah, because that's 100% me. I don't know how to rest at home. Like, I can only rest when it becomes like 8 p.m. So I'm like, if you say no, that I'm going to go do it. And then it pisses him off, and then that's the whole thing. So, or I will just go behind his back and hire someone to do it. And then he does have like opinions about it. So I think this is probably just marriage for everybody. It reminds me of that movie with Jennifer Aniston. I just want you to want to do the dishes, but the breakup.
Yeah, I just never going to want to do the dishes. It's just not going to be part of my personality. The same way I don't want to play golf. The same way I don't want to own a car wash. Like, it's just, those things don't inspire me.
I think what you hit on, when you said, I don't want to do it, I don't like to do it. And I think that was important as we just think about our own lists and helping our spouse stay on track, because thankfully, both my husband and I want to work out. That's both important to both of us. So we do talk about, because we have to like switch on and off with the morning when we're talking about scheduling. Sometimes he takes morning, sometimes I take morning, because we both want to do it. So I thought it kind of was an aha moment for me of like, he doesn't want to, because he doesn't like to, sure, but he loves me, so he'll do it. But like, that's not something that he's like really excited about.
Yeah. And that won't last if he doesn't like to do it. And anything that any of us don't intrinsically like to do, it won't last. Yeah. Or if we don't, and this could also seem like a very soft conversation too. If things aren't my way, then I'm not happy. Like, or if I don't want to do it, I don't have to do it. You know, like I've earned the right. Like, I don't have to do. Like, it could seem that way, where it's very much like being lazy because you just don't want to.
Yeah.
But you have to earn the right not to want to. Like, I've never liked mowing grass. But when I first started in business, I didn't have the money to have somebody else mow my grass for me who would love to do that job and who does love doing that job. People create entire companies because they love to mow grass.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was, this is part of that productivity answer, right? It's like the outcome. Like what is the outcome? I will mow my grass right now because I know my outcome is to make enough money where I don't mow my grass. That doesn't mean I like it.
Mm-hmm.
That means I have to do it because I haven't earned it yet. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're having a conversation around the household, the outcome of the household. Before we jump, I know this is a productivity podcast, and we have not yet once talked about a tactic for productivity. You want to know why? Because I don't think it's that important. The tactics aren't that important. It's the outcome that's 99% of it. The tactics to get there, there is 1 million ways to get to any outcome, and nobody can tell you exactly how to do that. Mm-hmm. I used to listen to people first coming up as an entrepreneur that would tell me, hey, you got to get up early before 5 a.m. And if you don't, you're lazy. Or you've got to work 18 hours a day. And I started saying, I started questioning myself as that sounds miserable. I don't want to, maybe I'll have to do this for a period of time, like mow my grass, mm-hmm. because I have to do that in order to get to my outcome. That's a necessary milestone. It's a necessary evil. That doesn't mean I want to do it. And so, if we focus on the outcome, what happens is to-do lists become an outcome list, not a to-do list. I'm not telling you what to do, but that's my first point for actual productivity. I don't care when you wake up. Guess what? The entrepreneurs on internet are going to be like, get up before 4 a.m. or else you're lazy. I don't care when you get up. You want to know what I care about? Chelsea, do you want to know what I care about?
What do you care about?
I care about what the hell you're doing when you're awake. Mm-hmm. If you're sleeping for 8 hours, but you doom scroll for 4 hours when you're awake every day, what's the point? What are we talking about? I'm going to sit here and tell you what time you need to get up. I don't know what job you have. You could be a nurse. If you're a nurse and I'm telling you to get up before the sun gets up, you're like, dude, I work 12-hour shifts. I don't get up till noon. I don't care. Here's what I care about. What are you doing when you are awake? What are you doing when you're awake? That 14 to 18 hours. There's a point in which you're sleeping too much, you're just lazy. That's like 10 hours for me. I don't know. Just seems to be like my own personal opinion. You don't need that much physically. No studies have ever said that you need that much. So I'm a 6 to 8 hour guy. I'm not a 4 to 6 hour guy like I used to be. You know why I used to be a 4 to 6 hour guy and tell you guys that? Because Gary Vee told me that. And I listened to somebody who was living their own life the way they wanted to, but then realized that wasn't sustainable and there will be seasons of life. So, what is your outcome? And if you're getting to the outcomes every week that you said you're going to get to, the activity, what time you wake up, how much time you spend, with your butt in a seat at work and things like that becomes irrelevant. It's not about to-dos, it's about outcomes. That's number one thing show me all your to-do lists. Show me your to-do list. DM me right now. I want you guys to DM me your latest to-do list, Devan.Kline. On Instagram, send me a picture of your latest to-do list. I'll help you analyze it. I'll help you just cross off all the things that shouldn't be there. Ask you a few questions about is this activity or is this outcome oriented? Okay, and then you're probably not going to need a productivity conversation after that because you're just getting rid of all the stuff that gets in your way from get to point A to point B. So, brainstorm Sunday, 30 minutes, write everything down. Write an A, write a B, write a C. An A is for you and only you can do this task. B is it's important, but somebody else can do it. C, it's crap. You need to get rid of it. This is your distraction. And then right next to those same letters, is it a 1 year, a 3 year, or a 10 year? A short, a mid, or a long-term outcome? Then we make a list for the week. If you just follow that advice, your productivity itself will go up 50% because you'll have more time back to do the things that you want to do. Anything hit home there, Trish? Any questions there?
No, I mean, I do something similar, but mine's at night, and I'm kind of wondering if I should change that to the morning.
No, this is perfect because I don't want you to hear me right now, people, and say, I should do what Devan does. I need you to use, this isn't a relationship in which like all the other people out there are going to say, hey, do this because that's the best thing to do. I'm going to say, I don't know what the best thing to do for you is. Here's the best thing for me, and here's why it works for me. But you need to find what works best for you. And the one thing I can tell you is it's not exactly like anything else out there. You can't listen or read or watch, copy and paste. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So I'm probably aggressive point for just that one little thing you shared, but I don't want you to say, oh, I should probably do it. I want you to say, when is the best, most ideal time when I'm in the right, when I'm congruent mentally, emotionally, physically, when is the best time for me to sit down and have the most clear head possible?
Yeah.
And that's if I was your mentor, that's the question I would ask you. I wouldn't tell you what to do, and I would ask you that question. Then you get to make your own decision. When you make your own decision, then you own it. If I give it to you, then there's always the opportunity to be like, hey, Devan, told you that wasn't going to work. And then it's on me. I don't want to be your guru. I want to be your mentor, somebody you can ask a complex question to and gives you back a simple question.
Yeah.
So when is it best for your mental clarity?
I also think it's, if you're in a relationship and you have kids, like the name of the game for me to be productive is also to schedule my time as wisely as possible. I mean, almost every single minute is accounted for on my weeks. So it's been this thing where unintentionally, but now I want to make it intentional, where my husband and I at night after the kids go to bed, we'll talk about our schedules for the week. So we can talk about the workouts. We can talk about, hey, if I have a meeting at work, or if, hey, I need you to pick the kids up from school because I got to be at work a little bit later. So to me, that's what works for us. And then it also helps hold me accountable because I'm like talking to somebody out loud about it. And he'll remind me, like, hey, you said you're going to go to the gym in the morning. You going to go? I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm going to go. So do you also recommend having that like two-way conversation?
Because that is what partners are for. When I share with you my outcome, that I came to the conclusion that I was going to go to camp and I did all this stuff.
Yeah.
Accountability is one of the best abilities that we have. And one of the main reasons why family is so important, because a functioning family is much different than a dysfunctioning family. People tell me all the time, stop using business and family simultaneously. And I'm going to tell you why I'm never going to stop doing that. And here's why. Because we have a championship culture at Burn Boot Camp. What does that mean? If you listen to a sports team, you're going to know exactly what that means. That there's ultimate accountability. You ever heard a post-game locker room mic'd up moment from players, male, female, doesn't really matter? If you go to an NFL football locker room, those are my brothers.
I love a post-game locker room speech.
I showed up today with my brothers and we fought for what we all thought was right. That's amazing. They use the term brother. Great businesses should function like a functional family. The reason they call themselves brothers because they're a functional family. They're able to look at their brother and say, yo, bro, that's not it. Mm-hmm. I love you so much that this behavior that you're exuding during practice, during a game, off the field, that's not it. Mm-hmm. That's not what this family and this team and this logo and this jersey is about. You're screwing it up. Mm-hmm. That's what a functional family would do because you love that person so much and you love the functioning of the family so much that you're willing to be offensive in the spirit of truth so that you and the team can go out and do what you said you're going to do. Now, how does a dysfunctioning family work? Somebody's doing something that's in a misalignment with the team's outcome and nobody tells them because they quote unquote love them and they don't want to hurt their feelings or damage their relationship. I see this playing out so often in families. So the people are telling me, don't run your business like a family. I'm making the conclusion that these people probably have dysfunctional families that they're not willing to be honest with their sister when their older sister is putting the family in a position to have more stress than necessary, that younger sister, older sister, cousin, whoever it is, won't look at that person and be like, hey, you're doing this behavior and it's making us all feel this way. And I wanted to let you know because I want you to know that people are talking about you behind the scenes as soon as you walk away. And I didn't think that's very fair to you to not be valued as a part of this family. And if you continue those behaviors, you're going to continue to get that. And that's a functional family. That's honesty versus dishonesty. That is why I believe a business should thoroughly consider themselves a family, a functional family, not a dysfunctional family. Hopefully that clears it up. But that's the dynamic that you guys are talking about, right? I conspire, compete, right? Together with my spouse to get better. We want to both get better. It's this tandem. It's this wrestling match of values. Hey, your values, you said that they were this, and then you're doing this behavior. Oh, yeah, you're right. Now I got to get better. So take inventory. Are you a functional or dysfunctional family? It's a hard question to ask. You can go in and out. You could have times where you're dysfunctional and times where you're functional. But who are you at the core? If it's something big in your life, something huge that happened, something bad that happened that's huge and it was your fault, are you going to be honest with the people in your family? You're going to rush to that conflict at that dinner table the same day you made the mistake and say, I screwed up, my bad. That's a family. What's this one here? Oh, yeah. Play this video.
Yeah, you've actually talked about this.
This will give us an example of what I'm talking about. And I don't even know who this is. I have nothing against this person. I just, I thought it was telling of who this person is behind the scenes and the way that she runs her organizations. And yeah, could be right, could be wrong. Again, my perspective, not trying to be right, tell her that she's wrong. This is the way that we do things. And we went from 0 members in a parking lot to 620 open and awarded territories and, leading an entire industry in less than a decade. So,
and this is your reaction to that.
Is it my reaction?
Yes.
Oh, hopefully this is not terrible.
No.
I did this a long time ago. Okay, roll clip.
Companies, billion-dollar ones where everyone makes money and learns a lot.
We're like championship teams, not family.
They're business influencers who say, hey, don't run your business like a family, run it like a sports team. Have you ever been on a sports team? Have you ever been in a championship locker room? Those are my brothers. I would do anything for that man. Have you seen a defensive back pick off a ball, run it into the end zone, and then run right up to his coach and give it to his coach like it's a son giving his dad the game ball that he just got in Little League? The best businesses on the planet, in my opinion, are ones that run like a functioning family, not a dysfunctioning family, like that metaphor. When you call each other on your stuff, when you're honest, when you bring it forward, you don't sweep it under the rug, you put all the problems right here on the table. Then, and only then, are you able to come up with resolutions that make everybody else's life, including yours, more wonderful. That's it. That's the game. Okay, Trisha, so you heard me here and there. So reaction to that, what do you think?
No, I love it. I think it's great. I also, one of my favorite, going back to the sports mentality, and I like to get a lot of inspo from that, is when they lose a game. Because they're still have each other's back. It's still like family. It's still, how can we get better together? We're not going to win every game. We got to figure out what went wrong. There were mistakes. You got to own your mistakes. But then together, how are we going to get better? So no one feels like they're kind of left out and they're in this silo. That, to me, sometimes I like those speeches more than the ones when they win, because when they win, it's so great. Everyone's happy. But what do you do when times are hard?
Love that. I love that, because that's more of a representation of your character.
Yes.
Is who are you when you get punched, right? Who are you when you lose? Are you going to point the blame at other people? Or are you going to point to yourself?
Yep.
Okay, so there's one. I mean, we're going to start expanding the conversation around habits for productivity, okay? So the number one habit for productivity is knowing your outcome. Knowing your outcome, all right? Now, we talked about time spent awake. That's what I care about. Time spent awake. You're 14 to 18. There's this big misconception around time spent awake where, and I know this because I've felt emotionally disrupted by this before, when I've heard people on the internet not mentoring me, but telling me, if you are not getting up early, if you are not spending, every waking minute working, then you're lazy. Okay, I get it. I got it. Good. You need to work hard. That's a good thing to do, is to be a hard worker. But I believe we need to clarify this for you all so that when you think about how to be productive, you understand that productivity, at least in a championship culture, in Burn Bootcamp brand, in Burn brands, productivity isn't measured by how much time you spend sitting in a chair staring at a screen. Productivity isn't measured by how many Saturday nights that you work or how many times you show up on Sunday and get stuff done. A championship culture means that you complete the outcome list that we just talked about on time or before it's on time all the time. And if you don't, then there's ultimate accountability, rushing to the conflict and getting that thing done. That is what championship culture is all about. That doesn't require you to stand in front of a computer all day long and just be typing. That doesn't require you to be doing things. There's this difference between work, like task-oriented work, and knowledge-oriented work. Everyone at Burn Brands, because we're a championship culture, works 24/7. Do you want to know why? Because they're thinking about it all the time. When I'm awake, even if I'm at dinner with my family, I can be present. Maybe not everybody can do this. This is just me. I can be present with my family. I can also keep a running kind of low frequency idea stream in the back of my mind that doesn't interrupt what's going on in front of me. When I am awake, I am focused on how to get better. I'm focused on how to grow this organization. And the way that I've lined it up, because I'm focused on growing an organization, it might be different for you. You might be focused on growing a family. You might be focused on growing a PTA, a volunteer board, your department at work. I'm focused on letting that outcome, that professional outcome, drive who I am as a person. So in order for me to get to professional outcomes, the only way to get there is I've got to have more integrity, more character, more well-defined attributes, more discernment on what I will do versus what I won't do, the line in the sand. And I think a lot of us get so hyped up on like, I got to be doing all the time, that if you're not doing, and I've gone through this, if you're not doing, then you feel like you're not productive. My job now is to think. 10 years ago, my job was to do everything. Spreadsheets, train camps, sell activewear, sell nutrition, grow the franchise, sell the franchise, support the franchise, be the admin, clean the floors, vacuum the floors. Now today I get to be a visionary where 99.9% of my job is how I think. Knowledge. So I want to make that clear. You are not a lazy person. Don't let anybody tell you you're a lazy person. If you're not constantly moving, if your fingers aren't constantly working on a computer, that's not what productivity is. Listen to me clearly. If you're in a job, if you're in an organization, you're in a role, and you feel like you're highly talented and you align with all the things we're saying, and you're forced to be you're forced to be doing rather than, you're not rewarded for your thinking, for your creative ideas, for your strategy, Burn Brands is always hiring. Come on in. Let's go. All right? Productivity has so much to do with that notion. Anything to add to that?
No.
All right. Productivity also has a lot to do with what you eat. What you eat is who you are. What you eat has energy. All energy has information. That information then determines at a molecular level who you are. All the stuff you eat is made of molecules. You're made of molecules. You are what you eat. It's just the truth of the world. If you eat whole foods, follow this advice. Fish, chicken, turkey, eggs, red meat, fruit, vegetables, supplements, water. Miss anything? I say fruit? Yeah, that's it. If you just stick to those things, the likelihood that you'll eat over your caloric allotment is very, very, very low because those are nutrient-dense foods, calorically low foods. If you're just eating those foods all the time and that's all you stick to, that's your boundary, all the molecules in those foods are going to be the molecules that which inform the energy and the information that you put into your body. So you literally are what you eat. If you eat dead food, then you're going to have you're a human being and you're going to function, but you're going to have the dead version of functioning. Mm-hmm. If you eat nutritious foods and you feel alive, you're going to have the alive version of functioning. It's a live enzyme food versus a non-live enzyme food. Whatever you eat is how you will feel. How you feel is how you will think. How you think is how you will speak. How you speak determines the personality that you have. The personality that you have determines the people that you hang around. The people that you hang around determine the situations that you get in. The situation determines your experience. You have an emotional reaction to the experience. That emotional reaction to the experience reinforces how you think. And that's the cycle. So eat good foods, and you believe you eat good foods, you'll probably have better life experiences.
You're setting yourself up for success. I have a really funny, quick story about you are what you eat, or that does how it impacts your productivity. We always eat breakfast at home. I love to make breakfast on the weekends. And the other weekend we decided, hey, let's just go out to breakfast. We're going to try a new spot. We've never been there before. Never heard anyone give us any reviews about it, but we decided to try it. Every single one of us in my family, Jagger doesn't count because he's 4, but we all felt like crap. If this was like a Sunday where we had plans to like do a bunch of things, be super productive, we get home from breakfast. I mean, I have little kids. So we get home like 9 pretty early, and we just all have to sit on the couch because we feel like crap. And I had scrambled eggs. Like, it's not even like I ate bad, but whatever they were cooked in, the same thing for my 2 older boys and my husband. So I do think you're spot on. And my husband and I looked at each other, we're like, we just need to, this is another reason why we love to eat at home, because we feel better. And then, your day kind of is either set up for success or it's not.
So productivity has so much to do with how you feel.
Yeah.
How you feel and what you eat directly determines how you feel. This is one other reason that outside of the timing issue for me, one reason that I fast every single day isn't because that I think, fasting is like this magic bullet. It's because when I eat something at like 10 and it's a big meal, I feel lethargic and I'm not my best and I can't think very clearly. I started off overnight fasting, having dinner at 6 or 6:30 p.m. and then breaking my fast at 6 or 6:30 a.m. And then once I got like 3 or 4 or 5 months under my belt doing that every day and was able to feel consistent, I started feeling so much better, and I started kicking my window of eating back from 6:30 a.m. to then like 8:30, and then I did 10:30, and then now, guys, I literally only eat for 3 hours a day. I eat at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and that's it. And I've been able to maintain about 10% body fat doing so, and maintain, more importantly, because body fat's not that important to me. What's most important is that when I have a lot of body fat, I feel lethargic. Yeah. And then when I have body fat, I can't think clearly. When I'm fasting, it's not for like some physical. I'm not doing it physically. Physical's too shallow of a goal to get it's a hard journey to do that, like what I've done, right? So I'm not suggesting that you do that, but you can. And you can, over a 2-year period, get to the point where your body is used to eating, and processing 3 meals, 1 on the hour every hour, or 1 on the hour every hour for 3 hours. That's basically what I do. So 3 big meals, about 40 to 50 grams of protein in each one for me. And then I'm still pretty like lethargic after that, but then it's basically time to just chill on the couch and be lethargic anyway and go to bed, and I'm already tired. And it aligns with my life. right? So my question for you, my mentorship question for you is, what style of eating aligns with your life? If you're somebody who works 12 hours as a nurse, it's going to be much different as if you have the classic 8 to 3 teacher shift. It's going to be much different. Everybody's going to be different. Your energy needs are determined by the lifestyle choices. So if you eat better, you're more productive. We got that one. That's pretty straightforward. Anything else to add to that?
Mm-mm.
Was I going to finish a point? I feel like I was going to finish a point on productivity. Shoot, whatever. We'll come back to that later. I had something in there. Somebody remind me what I had in there. It's not that important, obviously. But let's keep going down the list here. I think this is such an important. So nutrition and fasting, that's an important one. I have one more point left on my notes for today that I wanted to talk about. And this is directly for men, because and women too, but I only hear men in my life saying this. And I think it's this cultural phenomenon that I hope I can help you guys rethink. Are you ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
It's this lie that we constantly believe about whether to start a career or a family. It's always like that, isn't it? Oh, I want to go out, I want to really build my career. Or I really want to build, I want to build a family, but I don't think I'm ready first. I want to build a career first. And there's like this ultimate self-imposed ultimatum that men have. Do you think women have that too? Or do you think I know women do have that, right? For sure. I've only heard it in men. You hear that a lot in women in your circles?
I think for women, it's also then balancing, just the time frame of how old you are, because that impacts us too. So yes, but also probably more importantly is we want to probably escalate it because we're getting older.
So I'm going to let Trish give her opinion on this opinion for women. My opinion, wives out there, is going to be for your husbands. So share this with your husband, share this with your boyfriend, whoever. Believing the following lie will absolutely destroy people. It will destroy men, okay? You don't have to choose between a family and success. In fact, a family will emphasize success. In fact, when you're either an ambitious person or you're not, just like money will amplify that. If you're a good person, money will amplify the good you can do. If you're a bad person, money will amplify the bad that you're going to do. Billionaires get a bad rap because, there's like this communistic ideology that's like, oh, if you have a lot of money, then you must be evil in order to get it. Well, in actuality, I know billionaires who are like the most gracious people ever.
Mm-hmm.
They're the most gracious people, the most giving people. So it's not fair to just copy and paste this blanket statement that all productive men or women, I'm saying that interchangeably, but since I'm speaking to men, all productive men are evil for wanting to have success. And so men, we sit back and we feel this societal pressure of maybe I shouldn't push it. Maybe I can't have a family and push the business success at the same time. But family is the same thing as money. It'll have the same effect as money. You're either ambitious or you're not. You're either going to be good at business or you're not. You're either going to be successful at it or you're not. Having a family is going to make you more successful faster or unsuccessful faster. One or the other. So you might as well, if you know you're going to have a family, you might as well not have this ultimatum let me start my family in 10 years. That's the same thing as oh, when I'll get fit, I'll be happy. You're sitting around waiting for happiness.
Yeah.
I understand that there is that you have to pay bills, guys. I'm a human. I have bills too. I understand that. But I'm also the person that said right from the beginning, I'm going to build a family and a business at the same time. And I've actually felt what this is like. Yes, it's very difficult. But you will know if you're somebody that had a business and had a purpose, but or a career and had a purpose, and then you had a child, what happens to that ambition?
It increases.
Exponentially.
That baby is born, you hold it in your hands and you're like, oh, I'm about to tear this world open.
Yeah.
I am about this person that I'm holding, my water bottle. This little baby that fits in the palm of my hand has just taken my purpose and it's amplified it times 1,000, not even 100 or 10. It's made my quest so convincing to me that even if I didn't think that I was somebody who maybe could be successful, now I have to be. This lie will destroy people. It'll destroy people. There's nothing wrong, too, with having children later in life, in your 40s. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that I have kids at 26. But I am saying the following, and this is for all you young men out there. If you go around dabbling in 15 different industries for 15 years, 10 years, even 5 years, trying to figure out what you want, and you say, once I figure out my career, once I have that figured out, then I'll settle, then I'll have a family, and you really want a family, you're delaying it for 10 years for somebody else's gratification. Whose? Because it's not yours if you really want a family. Hey, if you don't want a family, by all means, turn the page, change the channel, don't listen to me. But if you're saying you want one and you want success, there is no ultimatum between building a family and building a success. In fact, building a family, if you are already an ambitious person, will put that ambition on 10,000 and you will get there much, much faster. There's this like notion, which I don't get it. There's this notion of dabbling. Like, go find the industries that you like and then spend 2 years in them and figure out whether you like it or not. I'm like, some of the smartest people that I look up to the most in the world say this.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, that's the worst idea I've ever heard. So what you're saying, translate, go be mediocre, working for basically minimum wage at entry-level positions so you can just explore to figure out what you like. I already know what I like. What I can sit down and say, hey, what are the 10 things I like to do? I like fitness. I like sports. I'm ambitious, so I like productivity. I like self-development. I like learning. I like marketing. I can think of 10 things and I could come up with one industry that's the crossroad of all those things. Then I can go to that industry and I can spend 5 or 7 years in the industry learning about the industry that I want to be in. But to go from banking to fitness franchising to like cupcakes to like colored pencil industry, like what are we doing? We're wasting 10 years thinking we don't have 10 years. That's more than 10%. Yeah. So this whole go in your 20s and explore all the things. And, you know, when you're 47, you're still really young. No, you're not. You're not young anymore at 47. It's halftime. You can't be down 46-0 at halftime.
Yeah. It's interesting because you think about what you opened this episode up with was the question, what do you want? And I think about that. I was one of those people who heard that piece of advice, the 2 years, the 2-year rule, and then move on. However, I will say, if you asked me right out of college, what do I want? I wanted to be in the PR industry, and I wanted to be a PR person for like a celebrity or an athlete. And I did that. And I was like, you know what? This isn't for me. Now what do I want? I want to do it for a brand. And so I think you can still ask yourself that question. And in my personal, I guess, opinion and experience, your question can change or the answer can change. It's okay for that to change. I mean, I guess when you think about it from a kid's perspective and going back to your original point about, you know, if you want to have kids, then go and have, there's no right time to have kids. I mean, ideally, if you're like, you know, me or all the things, right? But have a kid if you want to have a kid. Don't think that, hey, I need to wait until I get this promotion before I have kids, because you're going to get that promotion and take it from someone who is very career oriented and like likes to climb a ladder. You're going to then want the next promotion, and then you're going to want the next promotion. So my personal advice is, if you ask yourself, I think that question is very powerful. What do you want? And then you go make that happen.
I love that. I love it. My last point on this topic here, everyone, is the following. I believe it's paramount for you to decide what you like to do as fast as you possibly can. Get into that world and start learning everything you can about that world. I want you to close your eyes right now and imagine, like, what dream industry would you be in? Like, then I want you to think about what role is most practical for you to start at. Okay? And then go learn everything about that role in that industry. So, for example, Jordan Doolittle, producer Jordan, he's a sports guy. Okay, likes the NFL, likes the Panthers. Active dude, likes fitness, likes activity, sports, fitness. That's kind of his thing. Jordan, maybe if the Panthers had you, they wouldn't have lost their first playoff game. You know what I mean? Maybe you would have caught that ball there at the end. I don't know, buddy. I don't think you had a 4.3 40 in you. I don't know. You're pretty fast. I've seen you. You're an athletic dude. You like activity. But I'm not sure you're out there catching deep balls from Bryce Young and making the needle move for the Carolina Panthers football team. But Jordan gets into an industry in which, I don't know, what was it, Jordan, 5 years ago? You're in the fencing industry. Passionate about fencing? Probably not, right? Not at all. But loves sports, loves activity, loves football, loves being active. He comes in, gets a role around it where he's operating cameras, essentially, to start, helping us out on the multimedia team, gets his feet wet, starts learning about it, then becomes a problem solver within it. He's not the trainer. He's not the football player. He's not the one out there doing the activity, but his skill set lined him up to be a part of that industry in which he can foster those, the football team analogy, or in this case, it's fitness, because he loves sports and loves activity and physical fitness. So he's not doing the thing, but he's around it. It's like having the ambition to, like, saying I love basketball and then be like going to the NBA if you're 5'2" is not going to be in your cards, but being the multimedia director for the Toronto Raptors could be in your cards, right? So do you guys hear what I'm saying? Get in somewhere. If you want to be productive and you want to be useful for a team and an organization, get somewhere that's congruent mentally, physically, emotionally with you, that you like doing. You don't have to look far for your passions. And then figure out a role in which you can get in there and start learning everything. How many times do we hear this? Just happened to, I believe, Starbucks. Starbucks had a CEO, Howard Schultz, the founder. He left. They brought in an outside CEO, sucked, ruined the brand. Then they hired somebody who had been there forever. Mm-hmm. Here we go. Starbucks is back. You know what I mean? So if you get in and you learn something about an industry, you could be the CEO one day. Could be the CEO one day. It doesn't matter where you start. But if you're somebody that wants to go here and then there and then over here and then change jobs, I've said no to every person that's come across my desk this year who has had a job more. If you go back for a 10-year period and you have more than 5 jobs in 10 years with different companies, you're out for me. Dabblers aren't going to. I don't know why you would ever take that advice from somebody to say, go out and be mediocre at a lot of things, don't master anything, and then go somewhere after that and expect to have a position in which you can tell someone you mastered something. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make any sense to me. Anybody that has 5 jobs or more, they've been bouncing around, they've been playing that game that's been played lately. And if you're in corporate America, you know that game. If we've been playing that game, we're not interested. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I get pretty passionate about this stuff, you guys.
We like it.
So get in there. All right. Go make some noise, make an impact. But if you dabble everywhere, you'll be excellent nowhere. All right. I think that's pretty good. What do you think, Trish?
I think it's great.
Good time to stop?
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate you guys. Episode 38. If you're a binge watcher, like I know you are, episode 38. We're going to talking a little bit about New Year's resolutions here, all right? Why they fail and how to finally fix it in 2026. Click this video right here. Check that podcast out. Thanks for being here. We'll end it like we always do. 2 claps on 2. 1, 2.